Um, so other communities, um, they do things in a group setting. My approach is different because my thing has always been quality,
Mm-hmm.
the quality interaction between humans. And it's kind of crazy when you think about it. There's millions of followers, but yet I still like the one-on-one sessions
Mm-hmm.
versus just giving a demo talk and then running away. Like most monks do. They just grab the microphone, they give a broad teaching, and then they take off. And then everyone can just sit there and think about it. And whatever the masses of the crowd think or what it means to them, well, good luck.
Mm-hmm.
The monks are gone now. And so the one on one session aims to find the root cause of the problem as to why we are here,
Mm-hmm.
why we suffer, why we're lonely, why we have depression, why we have anxiety. Because the methods of the Buddha is exactly that. Now, you presented a card that was from another tradition. Well, there's three types of school, but it all started with us.
Buddhism.
Yes, three main primary school. So the website I sent you is something that that you could have browsed all three schools,
Oh.
but the other schools came from us. We are the originals. We are the Theravadan, the oldest still continuing school of Buddhism.
Mm-hmm.
Had it not been for us, the other ones wouldn't exist. So when a person dives into Buddhism, they want to look at where the original source came from, and that's us. And the Theravadan order is very psychologically oriented, very analytical in regards to human suffering. Uh, Merging you with the community immediately, you would be lost in the crowd.
Yes, I agree. That's kind of what my experience is. I come from the brainwashing of Soviet Union, growing up in
Yeah,
that,
yeah.
witnessing that, observing that, coming to America, being exposed to a lot of different things, living in Manhattan.
Mm,
It was such a gem to be able to interact with one-on-one with some of the masters. It was really a big gift. But that's exactly what I noticed. I noticed that the group settings, people just get lost a little bit, and they don't have that anchor. What's the step forward personally? So
right.
I really resonating with what you're saying, because I think that is the
A better approach.
what I have observed is what's lacking in a lot of these communities.
Okay, very good. Um, yeah, I know it's just always my thing with, well, that's what this office does. It gives attention to a lot of immigration cases. And my job at this office as assistant director is I'm over at criminal law and traffic and family law. My dad does immigration. So attention to small details is something that is important, um, so that people just know exactly what's happening. In the midst of spirituality, a person can really get lost because we're trying to learn ourselves and we're using the mind to fix. We're using the one thing that causes a lot of problems to fix itself.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and so I've been on the other side of the chair in psychotherapy for 6 years, growing up as a depressed young man, a suicidal depressed young man, angry to say. And I was just like, well, what's happening, right? I don't know what's happening. And the more I speak to them, the more I'm looking for answers, and
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't guided the right way. So everything that I've learned in that 6 years, I now do the total opposite. So don't be like them.
Mm-hmm.
And they were also motivated by money. So what my dad says, they drag on the sickness, they drag on the ailment so that they can make money.
Mm-hmm.
Motivated by money.
And it tends to be then repeating the pattern. It's in a different flavor, but it's
Right.
the same.
Right.
The
Right.
algorithm is the same.
So um, in Buddhism, we want to uproot the cause. That means there's plants in here, and imagine if the plant became a tree, and then with the roots that is in the ground, what we're doing is we're going to start digging, and we're going to start just yanking the whole thing
Pulling
up,
out with the
right? The
roots.
weed,
Yeah.
yeah, and not to let it come back. it's tiring to have run away for so long in our lives.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and the funny part was everything I do is an experiment, and policies is also experiments. It's like practice.
Mm-hmm.
No different than practicing medicine or law. That's why it's a practice, because they'll probably never get it right 100% fully. But when I went to elsewhere in America to do therapy, and people who sitting in front of me in their midlife ages, I was like, "Are you tired?"
Mm-hmm.
And they're not tired yet at like, age 50 something. And I've had people in their 80s and still not yet tired. Had an 80-year-old that met me out there on the west side of the city, and then soon I saw her here in this parking lot at this pain management clinic. Nothing good happens with pain management.
You're just managing. You're not actually attending to the root cause.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm like, is this human capable of understanding what I have been saying all this time? Yeah, she was in here, and she was driving somebody in here in this parking lot. And if you ever come here at 7 in the morning, 6 in the morning, till about 10, and just observe people in here, you realize that life's downhill. It's hitting rock bottom. But yet some of these people have not yet hit rock bottom at age 80, old enough to be our grandmother,
Mm-hmm.
and still running around. So that's very tiring. That's my emphasis, is timing. Um, just we think that we have time, and people run around a lot. All right, so let me get some preliminary information again, so I don't miss a thing here. Is that tornado thing? I was like, what?
That actually what got me out of my pattern. At least that was, I was deep into the yoga world. So when the tornado happened, it sort of got me out of that loop, sort of say. And then that's when everything collapsed.
This happened where?
In New Mexico.
Okay. Yeah, my parents went there.
On a Ramdas mountain, on top of the mountain.
Ramdas. You went on a retreat there?
Yes.
Oh, nice. How was it?
Incredible.
Oh.
But then it all collapsed because a sex scandal came out.
Always.
As it tends to be.
So no wonder why I'm so comprehensive in my policies. It's because there's a movement in Vietnam in Buddhism, and it tries to ensure the integrity of the Buddhist order. And I am a young Buddhist leader living in America, but I'm a Vietnamese venerable. So I'm so glad I kept it straight for going on 10 years as now Ajahn. The blameless life should always aim for the blameless life. Okay, were you injured in the tornado?
Not physically.
Okay. Did you ever seek why you were a victim of such natural disaster?
I think to get out of my loop. You mean the deeper reason why I think?
Yeah, just like the personal aspect
I think is to wake me up on a deeper level, to see what I was not seeing. Because I love the devotion path. I really enjoy it. And I love the solitude as well. And I think that's where I'm at for the last 4 years. The projects that I took for my work were in isolated off-grid environments, to where I was able to give this deep nature healing that I think I needed, because I couldn't be around people the first couple of years.
Yeah.
I was extremely sensitive. Like I could hear your heartbeat from here. It was a little too much stimulation. All my senses were out the roof. Now I'm a little bit more calmer. Like I feel like the static electricity that was coming out of my hands and my feet took me for a ride. I mean, I went the Eastern medicine, the Western medicine, just to make sure that I'm not having any blind spots. in regards to my physical body, and nobody could really diagnose me. And then I met this guy in Mount Shasta who had a very similar thing. And just by looking at me, he said, "Did you experience a tornado recently?" And I told him, "Please shine some light, because I'm not getting any clarity of what's happening to me. Like, I feel so much, but nobody can sense." So I'm like, "Is my mind making this up, you know?" So he had a very similar thing, a little bit more extreme. He was flipped with his car a few times. It's called a dust devil. It comes every 50 years. So it's very rare, but it's very powerful.
Yeah, we have mini ones here.
Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
mini ones. So, yeah, well,
and more wet, you know, in
Right.
Florida. But in the desert, it was a very cathartic experience. At the same time, I was like gently carried 200 meters. It was very a surreal, I guess, experience.
You flew. Not a lot of humans say that they could fly. I want to fly. People think monks can fly. I can't fly. 200 meters. Wow. You were very sensitive. Okay. And then what steps did you start taking to self-care for yourself or on the spiritual path after this? And how old were you when this happened?
This was in 4 years ago. So 2019 summer solstice.
Okay. And tell me, what kind of awakening did you have as a result of this?
A cathartic one, meaning if I were to compare my meditation experience until that event, nothing compares to that. It almost felt like I couldn't meditate anymore, because I felt like I was always there, you know? And then when I would sit down to calm myself, my electricity would just go too much. So I switched my meditation practice a little bit. I started walking barefoot, more movement. That was really helpful. So to this day, I'm still doing a sunrise walk in the morning, and it's really helpful. Barefoot grounding became very real for me. I thought it was just a thing that people talk about, but that's when it got very real. I would literally feel so static, meaning like zzz, you know, and people were, "Oh, maybe you have this or that, maybe you have Lyme," you know, people start projecting with the symptoms that you're having. But I would literally put my feet down and everything would just go, you know, like the whole body would just calm down on a very deep level. So I was like, okay. So I went to Mount Shasta and spent 3 months there by myself and drank spring water and walked barefoot. I think that really helped. That really saved my life. And it was really beautiful because I was there during the pandemic, so there was no people there. I was by myself in deep nature. So I think that was the most profound personal solo experience. And until then, I was never emotional. I could never understand how can somebody have a nervous breakdown. You know, I could always kind of keep myself together. Doesn't matter what the situation is. I actually thrive in extreme situations because then I get very zen. You know, I'm always the designated driver for people. You know, if there's like a situation, I always thrive in those environments. And what happened after the tornado, I became like the first year. If you were to tell me a few sentences and one sentence was not from the heart, it was like the end of my universe. You know, I was like, it would become, and then I have so much compassion for people that I've witnessed having nervous breakdowns in the past. And I was like, okay, I understand now. Sometimes you just can't control what's happening to you. So I think it's the deep compassion, deep compassion of this experience. But now everything has calmed down. There are no these somatic releases at night, which I would have every night. And now I'm in this state to where like, all right, what's next? And that's when the discipline comes in. That's when I think the guidance comes in. Because I feel like I'm at a clean slate right now.
Oh, that's a good thing.
Like very clean slate, because all the practices, all the communities that I was a part of, they're just sort of like the wisdom stayed, but I'm not attached to anything. I'm not missing anything. I'm not, you know, And sometimes my human kicks in and I'm like, wait a second. I need to interact with people, you know.
Right.
So I'm in this state of like coming out into the world, reaching out to my friends again, taking on projects with more interaction and more socializing. So I'm in this tender space where I would love to make the right choices how I'm going to root this time, because I think it's a great opportunity.
Got it. What religion did you come from when you were younger?
Roman Catholic.
Oh, you were Catholic too, like me. Why did you move away from it?
I didn't see any good examples. I only saw priests raping children. I saw another thing that I have respect for, like my grandparents sang in church. But I remember when I would ask my grandmother about the religion, she didn't really know anything about it. It was more of just a place to be together and sing. So I kind of laid off on the intellectual part of the religion, you know, like the what's the word? You know, the lecture part of the religion.
Homily, the liturgies, yeah.
Right. And just embrace the community part of it. Like I found like there is some purpose, there's some benefit there.
Right.
But in regards to practicing, I didn't see good examples. I didn't see good, you know, it was very very controlled, very dense, very dark. I did have one priest that baptized me and that I really had a deep connection with, and he did not practice in the traditional way. He had his own little land that he would do incredible things on it. He was known for doing things differently. For example, like he would have prisoners come into his land for rehabilitation, you know?
Right.
So he had this approach of more do it through love to help people find their positive existence.
Okay. Tell me about your relationship with your parents growing up and now, if they're still in the picture and if you're getting along with them now.
Here and now, I'm in the best relationship with my parents.
Okay.
Growing up was challenging. My mom wasn't mentally stable, but there was a lot going on, you know?
Yeah.
There was a lot of mafia, violence, survival. When Soviet Union broke, you know, the town that I lived in, it was a lot of violence. There would be kidnappings every night. But I never saw it as, I was never afraid. So even being a little girl, I would see my mother as she just doesn't know what's going on. So when she would go off at me, I didn't use that against her. It was very clear to me in a very early age. And then they left they left Lithuania at 95. They lost everything. They had to go. So they left me behind because back then they wouldn't give papers to the whole family. So I was without them for 5 years.
You were alone?
From 11 to 15.
Wow.
So that was the best years of my life, I could say.
Really?
Yes.
You weren't scared or?
No, I actually became an adult overnight. I remember very vividly, there was no crying, there was no feeling sorry for myself. I just had to be a big girl right away. So when I came to America in 2000, like a week before the New Year, so 99, and I became mom and dad to them. As you know, things flip. And I became the immigrant child that helped them. So the first 10 years here, I sort of took the moms and dads role. I started working. I moved to New York and got my papers, got them papers. So that was sort of my mission. And now it's sort of a clean slate in a beautiful way because they are witnessing me where they can help me. It's an opportunity for them to be mom and dad right now. It's kind of how it feels. So as much as
you became a provider.
I was the provider, but I'm not now. It
Right.
flipped.
It flipped, right?
It's to where sometimes I would like to, continue me being the provider, but I'm embracing the season of my life to get humbled and create a foundation in a new way.
Okay. So your parents still working now?
Yes.
Okay.
They're here. They're just down the street.
Right. Oh, that's why you're just right around the corner. You were
Yeah.
excited to come. Are you working right now or not? Or just taking a retreat for yourself? Or
I am working and I'm taking new courses.
can you tell me what kind of work do you do?
My company is called Conscious Nesting. It's in regards to detoxifying your environment of harmful chemicals that are invisible. And I do with construction, renovations, organizations.
Sounds like a lot of detail-oriented stuff in there.
Yes. I love nesting.
Let me silence these things. Make sure it's not. Any presenting stress right now in your life right now?
Financial.
I think everyone's got that. It's America.
Financial, and I think I'm still very sensitive
To
my environment,
such as
meaning like nobody notices it and I can really pull it off. But what I'm noticing is my sensitivity of continuing to serve my environment. Like I'm looking for somebody to look at me through magnifying glass. Does that make sense?
what I'm doing now.
Yes.
What do you think they're ignoring from you or not paying attention? What are you expecting from people?
I'm not expecting much. Like, for example, my parents are a great meter to see where my consciousness is at, because sometimes they don't understand what they're looking at. And I'm trying to be very honest with them. At first I was not hiding what was really going on to not scare them, but they just didn't comprehend what was truly going on. Yeah, so I think it's the sensitivity in my whole psyche that I would like to.
Tell me how you operate and how people behave in that environment of operation that kind of gets you to feel like, am I being seen here? Am I even here? Hello?
I'm great at being chameleon and becoming what's needed in the room. Like, that's where I thrive. I absolutely love to be the invisible operator behind the scenes, but at the same time, complete devotion and complete, you become what's needed. So if my client is going through this, I'm going to become that to support the current state. So it's not that I take myself completely out. I just kind of inside, I'm at the state where I think it would be beneficial for my mental health.
So how do you help clients? That's just because majority of this is traced back to work environment. I just want to understand what you do for your clients.
It's kind of where I'm at too. I have given too much of myself in my projects. to where, I become the client's psychiatrist, interior designer, and a contractor.
So tell me how you solve the problem of this, because I'm only getting detox, nesting, construction, organization. What does that mean? What does all that mean? If they're utilizing your guys' organization for what? Because it's detox
So
of the body, detox of
Right.
psychological detox. What's going on?
So my business started when I had friends ask for help with their spaces when they were going through their spiritual growth. So I would come in and do a complete reset of the home. For example, in here, you can do a deep dive, take everything out, put everything back in, only what's needed.
Okay, so like interior designing.
Yeah, but more of a mental. Because
Right.
I believe a lot of people are very disconnected with their environments. And
Okay.
And they see
Feng shui.
Yes, but
Okay.
more on a deeper level. I
Right.
think a lot of people see it as a burden. I see it as a daily opportunity to get organized in your mind, to the contemplation part. We're missing that, right? So I started approaching my business more as a spiritual practice approach to enter into your space. But now with the last 2 years of working, I'm leaning towards construction and renovation and stepping away from holding the hand of a client because it became a little too much for me. You understand?
Got it.
When for example, I just did a project in Washington. So I went in, I moved in for 2 months. So I move in and we do a deep dive slowly. So we do decluttering, letting go of old things.
Ah, okay. I understand
Kind
your
of like
work
a Marie
now.
Kondo gone quantum.
Right. Hoarding.
But I realized it was a little much because each client is very different. Everyone is nesting very differently. Everybody has a unique style of how they live. And I found a lot of opportunity in that because it's really helpful when you reset your environment as you are changing, as you are evolving. It's very helpful, right? If you're studying for exams and you redo your room with an intention of resetting the energy, right? It's very helpful. So I just found that there is that gap. But right now I'm in the place of reevaluating my business because I'm more. It takes more out of me, right, than I receive.
Yeah.
So kind of what you're experiencing with your
draining.
Practice, it's very draining. So I either need to hire a team and grow, and and structuring it more organized, or I need to just step back, and that's kind of what I'm doing right now. Right now, I'm building an online business. So in case my body does collapse in the future, I'm not relying on it. So this experience really, I don't want to use the word scared me, but just gave me a reality check that, for example, I collapsed for a few years and I couldn't really function at my peak. So my finances, my everything collapsed, right? So it gave me an experience. Like I have nothing to fall back on. I don't have a trust fund. I don't have an online business, or a team that can take over, So I think if I collapse, I would like a little bit. So that's kind of where I'm at right now. I'm building an online business.
Okay.
And kind of reevaluating my current business.
Yeah, and this type of job does require a person has to somewhat be a chameleon. You have to try to relate to them, match their level, so they feel that they can relate to.
Yes.
Because if they can't relate to you,
become nothing. I have to become this neutral mirror to them.
I see. Yeah, and that is. I think everyone's got a hoarding problem because when we go back to anthropology and just human history in together, we're hunters and gatherers. We like to gather and a lot out of anxiety that one day we might not have things, and then fueled by poverty too. Most of your client poverty is why they hoard is fueled by poverty and to fill the empty void.
Yes, and to piggyback on what you just said really beautifully is that hunters and gatherers, they were forced to go into their inventory seasonally and reset per season.
Right.
Now we are just hoarding, gathering, but we're not attending to the bank reserve. You know, and that's
Right,
kind of
right.
what I'm seeing. I'm seeing people are not attending to it seasonally. So I think it's very important every season. Spring is here, fall is here. Like reset your space, reset the thing. So then this and this
Right,
is connecting.
right, right. Awesome. Very good.
So if you have any client that can benefit from this with your practice as a piggyback, I would love to do a volunteer project.
Oh, plenty. Just as soon as I'm whoever is watching right now, probably not. I think everyone has this problem just because of so many homes that I have been in, and you can tell if they're psychologically organized or not based upon what's happening in the setup of where things are. You know,
Yes.
um, I understand that because I had to go through this myself. The fact that I would jump from one book to another. I mean, the ADHD aspect of it, jumping from and not finishing the pile that you started. So then you have multiple piles in the room.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's yeah. This is a very unique niche that you have, and I think a lot of people could benefit from it because by the time they reach to me, they're still running. It's so hard to slow them down without redesigning their environment. I can't redesign their mind if their environment conditions them
Mm-hmm.
to just keep running.
And keeps
Just
reminding them of how they were yesterday.
right.
You know, many clients always say, "Why don't you take photos before and after?" I'm like, I don't want you to remember how you were yesterday.
It's a very unique job that you have, but it can take a toll. I can see. I think both of us are at our peak. Both of us have a lot in common, Ashley, in regards to the deliverance of our job, how we discharge our jobs.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and it comes to a point where we need to become assertive and kind of be like the Chef Gordon of our jobs.
Yes.
He is just straightforward. It is what it is. That's it. This
Yes.
is the way how it needs to be done,
Yes.
and this is the way that it will be done, without needing to please the client too much.
Mm-hmm.
Discipline
Yes.
aspect of it.
Yes.
When I made that new policy, I was afraid people were going to be chased away because they'd be like, "Oh, wow, he's really strict." Because that wasn't me. I tried to please people too. It was my original nature to be nice. Vietnamese people, typically nice
Yes.
people. You know,
Kind.
well, I mean, I think there's two sides of us. I mean, notice the Vietnam War. You know, there's that side of the human nature of Vietnamese people, and the other side, they're hardworking, they're compassionate, understanding, and sensitive. They would bring food like this um, over. Asian cultures are indicative of that. But after just figuring out humans and figuring out systems, it's just some things have to change in order to ensure your own peace. And that's my philosophy is in order to ensure your own peace, you have to draw the line, set boundaries, establish policies, and to be more assertive, and it's like, hi, and you get basic background information, how do I what we're doing here,
Mm-hmm.
start tracing the root cause of it,
Mm-hmm.
and then in the most compassionate and understanding way. I think in the initial stages should always be compassionate, understanding way. Then after you start tracing responsibility, that's when the assertiveness started to kick in, level by level, step by step, so that they understand where the responsibility lies. Because in American culture, people blame. Well, I'm like this because my mother was like that.
Yes.
Matter of fact, that's my thing. I'm like this because my mother was like that. But it's a very common theme amongst just the blame game.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, I understand, I got it. Yes, yes, yes. You're like this because your mom like this. She modeled the behavior, so you're operating based on what you knew.
Mm-hmm.
But now we have a choice. Now I'm here.
Mm-hmm.
Now, which is you. That's you telling the client. Now I'm here, and these are things that needs to change. So if you allow me, things can change, and you will change. And as a matter of fact, once this is done, if you allow it to be, you will be a changed person. And I think that's going to be the powerful line right there. That if you allow it, telling the client, if you allow it, you can change. And that's the problem I think you and I see in our clients is that they argue. Most of them argue.
Mhm.
They hanging on, they attach, and then they give you a headache. Then you should charge more after they give you a headache. You know what I mean?
Yes.
You should see. This is my dad's seat. My seat's over there. But it's funny watching him. He's very comical, but straightforward. You know, when he's explaining immigration law and people argue with him, and he sits in this chair, says, "So you make the law now, right?"
Mhm.
And it's very direct, and it just shuts everyone up. And I'm just like, "Oh, yeah." He's like, "Your legislative branch, right? You make the law, right?
Mhm.
I'm explaining it to you like the judicial system, but you make the law, right?" And they just shut up.
Mhm.
And I'm over there, and I'm like, ooh.
And I think it's what we all need is that that realness of really looking at ourselves with the lightness and the sense of humor, you know. So when I'm with the client in their deep closet, there's gotta be a sense of humor, even though no matter how deep you think you're sinking in, you know.
Right.
But
Okay. All right. So this explains a lot of me tracing some of the thing that causes you peace. Let me see what other eliciting questions that I have. Okay. Okay. Let's go with faith. A lot of friends in your life, social life, probably more solitude. Huh?
downsize now because I just created, or at least, I guess, yes, I created because I'm the creator of my reality, right? So I created a reality of complete solitude in the last couple of years.
Okay.
But before that, I had a very large network of friends.
Right.
So right now it's very interesting, like who's still there, you know? And
so you gotta look at that inventory too.
yes,
Social inventory.
social inventory.
And what about relationship? Are we in the active pursuit? Do we want to date someone, or we just got off a relationship and we just want to know ourselves? Where in that category would you put yourself?
I have been single in celibate, is that the word?
You're right.
3 years more, 3.5 years, almost 4 years when I last had a partner.
You want to remain until this is.
I would like to turn my taxi light on and
I love it.
and build a family.
Oh, you want a family
I do, if that's in the cards.
in the realm, yeah.
But at the same time, I always was okay with being a monk too.
Ooh.
Like it's a very I'm at peace with both choices. So if I were not to have children in this life, I'm completely okay with it. I was always okay with it. You know, especially the girls, I'm 39, so they always ask, like, are you ready to have children?
Yeah, and quickly.
You know? Yeah, now they're projecting the older, but when I was young, you know, for many years, I was always the youngest girl in the room.
Right.
You know, all my friends were always very much older. And I always had this understanding that I don't know, I was born with.
Yeah, after, I think women should have kids after, before 35, or I think research says after 35 it's very risky.
I don't believe that a single bit.
Oh. That'll be a question for OBGYN and the latest research academy, American Academy of Pediatrics, in regards to the risk, XY chromosomes, alleles, birth defects.
Sure. But you got to take responsibility of those.
Yeah.
Level up your DNA so you can have a better chance. You know,
Yeah.
I think there is that, but then there's this crippling mentality of women being completely pushed down, like you won't be able to do anything now. And I think there would be a balance. You know? I know so many women who truly believe that just because the guy in the white suit have told them. And from what I'm seeing now, I don't think that's true at all.
Yeah.
I'm seeing numbers of women in their late 40s and are looking much better than any 20-year-old right now. Right?
Yeah, I mean, I don't object you guys having kids. I mean, it's the Buddhist view to try to not have kids unless you are an awesome parent and you've learned to be an awesome parent. Um, I don't know. I went to Arizona. I made this. Arizona has beautiful mountains. I stood in front of this mountain and I said, "Y'all need to try not to have kids." And I said, "The more kids we have, we're not gonna have these beautiful scenes anymore. People don't know how to be parents these days. Kids will end up in jail anyways." My thing is irresponsible parenting.
Yes.
And the other thing is part of being Buddhist is relying on science to make intelligent, informed decisions. And I've worked IVF cases, and I just got back from a summit uh, on people with disabilities. So I just don't want that to unfold with people who is of that age that they according to science recommend should not have kids. The other thing is the workings of karma. I'm still trying to make sense of trying to trace the workings of your karma, because this is the very first time someone is a victim of natural disaster, but yet had a spiritual awakening as a direct result of that. So I'm trying to think in my head whether this was a favorable or an unfavorable karmic result based upon your previous karmic actions and even in previous lives or previous multiple lives, multiple rebirths. So I'm still scanning that in my head. And a lot of these questions are designed to figure that out too, the explanation of your karma.
Mm.
Um, but you have my full blessing because we don't have, particularly under this school, we don't have a first woman to be ordained yet. Right now, I'm training a lot of novice monks. Matter of fact, those are the two books that you saw. Handbook for novice monks and nuns. Uh, and my approach to training them, this is the traditional way of training them. There's a lot of chanting. And I suspended the chanting because I said, you guys need to know the clinical aspect of the Four Noble Truth first before we start chanting, wasting time chanting. Chanting will be towards the end. Chanting doesn't really do anything, from my view. So you have my full blessing if you were ever to become. That's how you're going to inspire millions and millions, probably billions of people. We need a woman like you. Stand tall, firm. You have a little spice to you I can pick up. Yeah, that's traits of a leader. And as I get older, my philosophy on life is that we're going to sacrifice some way. Kind of like Jesus sacrificing himself on the cross. I find myself sacrificing for humanity, but at great joy. I grew up wanting to be a cop. There was domestic violence in my family. I perceived my world out of control. So I figured becoming a cop, I would be in control. And I went to the academy, wasn't accepted, had 3 pages of speeding tickets. I tried out for Florida Highway Patrol, and it said, "You want to give people speeding tickets? You got 3 pages yourself. Try back in 3 years." Then I went to college for 4 years. Never would I ever think that I was going to become a holy man, and never ever would I ever think of becoming an educator, because everyone in the family is a professor. Now my only cousin in the U.S. is a professor at USF, and I'm like, Andy, what happened? There's no money in education. All of our parents were educators, you know, doctorates degrees, and how did we become educators? This is something that we never wanted. Just the stories of poverty about the start of it all was with my grandpa. Um, but then then I hit rock bottom after my grandmother passed away, and I became a monk. And what you witness today is exhausted monk, but with a lot of excitement in meeting new people. I am in full enlightenment, nirvana right now with you. But yesterday I was with a former novice and going to be a novice again, 15-year-old Devon, and was testing his memory. Or the whole thing was recorded, the whole thing was posted. And I found great joy cultivating the next army of monks down the road. Whether they come to fruition or not, I'm just going to do my 8 and hit the gate. But I think all of us have to do our 8 and hit the gate, whether we have kids, children, and will be enslaved in that system or be of service to others, either way, and the bumpy road of serving others, we have to, it's a sacrifice. It's a life of whatever sacrifice we choose and how rewarding that is based upon our choices. And that's awesome. I slept real good last night. Number one, realizing I was scared that you were coming. I'm like, I don't know how this is gonna go. There's a level of excitement and unknown.
Yes.
And just realizing how much we got done yesterday. The novice got to witness a lot of things. The novice got to witness me advocating for peace and justice and the intersection of the two in Buddhism, which is very unique. This is very unique for him to witness it. And once these are published and posted, that his family's watching it, and Cambodian people are watching it. Southeast Asian family. I'm setting the stage and example for all. What Buddhism should be like now in 2024. So I just wanted to explain that part. If you ever wanted to become a monastic, you would be the first woman, or at least under my school. I advocate for women to be monastics. I advocate for women to be of equal to us. If we are bhikkhus, you guys would be bhikkhunis.
Bhikkhuni.
Yeah, bhikkhunis. And it's a beautiful thing. Most women are into spirituality. Most of the viewers and supporters are women anyways. Ajahn Brahm of the Australian order has already brought back the Bhikkhuni order. He doesn't care that they kicked him out of his original Thai forest tradition. He doesn't care. I don't know how that latest picture emerged of him with the original group of. He just doesn't care. At some point, he just don't care. As a spiritual leader, you do what needs to be done. You give people what they want, which is peace. And I was going to ordain the first woman in Arizona, but that did not come to fruition, and probably worked out for the best. So, but yeah, just if that ever just stemmed in your mind of
It's
leadership,
always here.
yeah,
Always. It's something so natural to me. It's something so comfortable. Like even when I was a little girl, this was Roman Catholic, but like, okay, I'll do a nun, like it made sense. This devotion of prayer. Yeah, so it's always there. How would the path look like?
you have to keep 311 rules according to the Bhikkhuni order. We have 227. You guys have 311. The Buddha's view on women was that they could potentially be weeds in a nice field of grass. So he did not want to ordain even his mother-in-law, Mahaprajapati. It was so many tries and so many cries in pleading and bidding for him to ordain the Bhikkhuni order. So obviously he was the first psychologist and first philosopher of the world, and he had profound insight into the nature of women and how they were going to lead themselves. So he put more rules for them. But what this means for the women proceeding on forward is that you guys have to be better than perfect. And truth be told, I've had other people hit on me, but I've never hit on me as in, wanting a date with me. But I've never had someone from the representative of the Bhikkhunis order or the Mechi order or a Buddhist nun, altogether encompassing the Buddhist nun, hit on me. And I was like, that was very impressive to watch that unfold for the past 9 years. That they have extreme self-restraint, and that will be expected of you, of chastity and celibacy. Like I said, that's why the word sacrifice And there are practices like the practice of meditation on the 32 parts of the body that helps you deal with sexual urges and sensual pleasures. We all have it. Ajahn Cha, a fully enlightened. Where's Ajahn Cha? He's hiding. He's right. No, that's Ajahn Mun. I don't have Ajahn Cha. I have Ajahn Mun, his teacher, who was very out public spoken about his own sexual challenges as a monk. And that's why we have these practices to help us stay straight on the path of enlightenment.
And not suppress the natural chemical compound, that's happening inside the body. So this meditation helps you to transmute it, neutralize it.
Yeah, and you don't have to ordain now. Just get the sexual urges out of the way skillfully and intelligently.
Right.
That means if you have needs, go ahead and resolve those needs before you ordain, which is in accordance to each person's specific and unique biological makeup and design. Some people are more, we once again back to anthropology and history, we were hunter gatherers. So we hunt, gathered, had sex with a lot of people a lot of time of the day so that to ensure our species could survive. So according to design, the human design is that's what we do. We're going to run around looking for different partners, and we want to do it a lot of time of the day, and that's why people cheat too. That's the answer to why people cheat. Yeah, because they do get bored. They were designed to get bored with this human, to keep on seeking more. That's why the desired aspect in Buddhism, the Four Noble Truths, the second noble truth is, well, excessive desire will lead to suffering. And when it comes to sensual pleasure, I desire more chocolate. I desire more sex. But look at that intelligently. Is it always satisfying? Does it bring you peace and happiness? Or you just want to crave more and more, thirst for more?
Mm-hmm.
And the profound understanding of thirst. So, yeah, I don't object. I'm very chill as a monk in regards to those philosophies and rules and stuff like that. I've fell in love 7 times before becoming a monk, so I've already had my fun. And now at 37 years old, in Vietnam, 38, here I'm 37, Chinese calendar. And I see all sorts of women that come into this office, I'm over there looking, and some of them are young, beautiful, gorgeous Vietnamese women. And I'm like, that's going to be trouble in my head, right? And I'm like, that's going to be attachment, trouble, not going to last forever, not always satisfying, rarely under my control. These are the 3 things the Buddha wanted us to realize in its totality of all of the meditation practices.
Mm-hmm.
This book take the different types of meditations out, extracts it, and kind of just gives you a list of it. But towards the end of it, like this entire list right here, meditation on death, on the Buddha, elemental components, breathing, impermanence, sangha, us, moral feelings, mental states, decomposition of a dead body, parts of the body, posture. But it's like, what did the Buddha wanted us to know? Just 3 things. We call it the 3 marks of existence. Is that all things, anyone, people, places, and things are subject to impermanence, not going to last forever. They're subject to change. Even some of my middle schools now torn down.
Mm-hmm.
Memory lane. And rarely are these things under our control. So if you were getting into a relationship, do you think you can control him all the time? Control is always an aspect in any relationship.
Yeah.
And we don't want to lose what we have or what we just acquired. Finding the love and keeping the love that you have found. So it's challenging, it's challenging. But so I would say that I've kind of grew out of that pursuit. And and my dad has a lot of connections. He has a lot of immigration cases. They're desperate to come over here, and and some of them are young enough that you can program them. And even if my father said, son, no different than the Buddha's father, King Suddhodana, who had a line of women for the Buddha to choose from. And he was basically giving out jewelry. And when he chose Yashotara, the last one, he ran out of jewelry. And he says, "Ma'am, I don't have anything to give you anymore. I ran out of jewelry. Earrings, necklace, gold, 24 karat gold." And she said, "My lord, it is not you that need to give me anything. It is I that needs to give you something." Boom, that's the one. Because she's exemplifying, she is the one that gives more and take less. Now you see how it concurs with my policy. To find the worthy student sitting in front of me, one has to demonstrate that. So it's like, yeah, so even if my father says, here's 5 beautiful women, I'm like, you're setting me up for 5 liabilities. Potential, I would say potential and likely chance of liabilities. I mean, 1 out of 5 could be a saint.
Right.
You just never know. So you just need to know that comprehensively, that the teacher in front of you would never push you to become a bhikkhuni, would never force Buddhism on you or try to convert you in any way, shape, or form. And if you have needs as a human being, then you satisfy those needs. And when the time is right, you will come back. You would come back knocking on the door. The question for you and for all, as all is watching, is that, are we sick and tired of being sick and tired of being sick and tired of ourselves and or other people? Or whether or not we like this game of life. Because it is a game. It is. It's just really it. I mean, it's some of these difficult truths hard to accept and hard to hear, but it's a game to be in the business world. It's a game to be in a religious world. It's a game to be a wife, a daughter, a husband, a human. And, somewhere down the line, we just get really exhausted of playing this game, political game.
Roles, right?
Yeah, it's tiring.
Am I now?
Right.
What is my highest potential?
Right.
It's this constant question: am I in the right seat?
Right. It's tiring. And you become more direct, straightforward, and you just want to solve problems and help people solve problems and have the skills and know yourself enough to discharge your duties effectively without remainders of emotions at the end of the day. At the end of the day, when I go to sleep, I conclude I've done the best that I could with the time that I have, with the people that I'm with, and the resources available to me. When I wake up and I do it all over again. Right? So, I just want you to reflect on that. Let me see if I'm missing anything here. I think we're getting close to identifying the problem. Perhaps close to even coming up with recommendations and suggestions.
I would like to put something else on the table.
Sure. Anything I could have missed, yes.
This cathartic fear of public speaking.
Ah!
I'm okay with you. I'm okay with maybe a few people. But every time there's, a toast or standing up, it's a complete shutdown.
Yeah.
That whole, not that there's fear or I'm not confident or this, there's a chemical reaction happening to where it's almost like I've been burned at the stake for something, like there's this feeling that what is that? And I've tried to loosen the tightness of it.
I got it.
But
so on the subject of public speaking, is that we by design, we were afraid that other people were going to judge us. Also, the implication of self-worth, self-concept, self-value. That's why spirituality is knowing yourself, knowing who you are. And once we know who we are and we have accepted who we are and love who we are, and you get on stage and your life will be under examination. The fear is my life's going to be under examination. A lot of people can fake it good. Not a lot of people can fake it. I never wanted 1.3 million people to follow me on TikTok. I was just experimenting. I was just like, what? It was during COVID, and I was a victim of Asian hate, and I just wanted to share that on TikTok. I was just like, I don't know, um, this is what happened today, and I'm like, well, if this talk is real, let's find out how real TikTok actually really is. And I just took this video of it, and I just went home, never thought of anything of it. I would never have a YouTube channel ever. I was this angry. Matter of fact, that yellow bag right there, it's got all of my handwritten journals in it that I was going to scan that scan machine right there on your right, and like 5 other scan machines. There's more scan machines than printers, so that I could have the legacy project put together. But in my narrative, I was reserved, quiet, private. Don't don't want to be seen. I don't want to be known. I'm just trying to figure myself out as a young man. So ever since becoming a monk and resolving my own issues, who I am, who I was, my mistake, my faults, my controlling, my anger. In the Catholic Church, like my fault, my sins, my fault.
Mm-hmm.
We monks do that too. Becoming a monk is finding your faults and fixing them, finding your flaws and fixing them. And once you have fixed your flaws, you're not afraid to tell people about your flaws. And, like right now, the potential and likely chance of 31,000 people watching me on my YouTube, I don't care. And elsewhere around the world, I don't care, because we're all sinners. That's the Catholic way. We're all sinners. And in the Buddhist way, we've all have made unskillful choices, unwholesome choice. We don't say sin. Sin's pretty heavy.
Mm-hmm.
But if you define sin, sin's missing the point. So most of us, if not all, have missed a lot of points in our lives. Inability to listen. And I find it humbling when someone calls me out, or I don't know. By now I'm like a celebrity monk, and you get all sorts of sticks and stones thrown at you. You have religious wars. You have people that hate Buddhism. It's just whatever. I am who I am. They may hate me because I'm a representative of the order, or hate me because from somewhere. But I live here in St. Pete, where your parents are from. I serve the people here for the past 19 years. I've given more and taken less. I've challenged the entire world. Find someone here in St. Pete that says that I took more and gave less, that I did wrong. I'll disappear in the thin air. If it was well-founded that I willfully, knowingly, and intentionally did wrong to somebody in this town that you're sitting in right now, the whole of Pinellas, also to the regions of Orlando, to the regions of Polk County, to the regions of Miami, Hillsborough County, Pasco County, I serve this area. So and I've lived an ethical and moral life. So it's about you. It's not about me. It's about other people. It's not about me. But I now, when I reflected, are you worthy of respect? Are you worthy of receiving gifts? You bought me gifts. You bought me food here. Am I worthy of that? One has to screen his conscience. Are you worthy of being a John? Are you worthy of veneration? Are you worthy of being venerable? It's a moral and ethical checklist. Like, how could I accept this food and money, the donations, if I cheated, lied, kill, and steal, or whatever immoral, unethical acts right here in the town that I serve? Right. So I wasn't afraid when they asked me to run for office in Arizona. I'm like, sure, go ahead. Here's my resume. Run with it. Like, we want to hire you. There's so many places wanted to hire. I'm like, have at it. Because I knew that my life was going to be under examination. I've never been convicted of a crime. Never been convicted of even a misdemeanor. So have at it. Go for it. Make you all the accusations you want, have at it. I'm just a puppet. I'm just an object. Who do I think I am? I am a nobody. I am Mr. Nobody. If I could change my name, I would be like a John Nobody. And that'll be key at the end of your life. It will all circle back to that you are no one. You came as a visitor.
Just passing through.
Right. And you've helped all these people. And you tried to give more and took less. And now you're going to sail towards the sun and never look back. Becoming an arahant. Become one of these guys right here. This is Ajahn Mun, who is an arahant. That's where's Ajahn Sat? Ajahn Sat's hiding back there. He's hiding back there. But yeah, these images remind me that the Buddha was born here, achieved enlightenment here, and died here, and so can we. I hope to exemplify that holy life and sainthood by and through my own actions for people to see. So back to the public speaking. That's why it's important. That's why we're doing this type of work. Knowing who you are, bring all of your faults up to the surface, and let's start scrubbing our dishes, no matter how ugly the dishes is.
Yeah.
You know, clean it, clean plate, clean plate. And once you ordain, you are a new woman, new identity, new woman. You have let go of your hair. You have let go of every. This is pretty awesome here in Florida. It's hot as hell here, and I'm saving $30 by shaving my own hair.
It's been my dream. So one day I'll shave it off.
To just like to find the awesomeness in ordination, to find the awesomeness in renunciation, renouncing, giving up, dead to ourselves, die to ourselves. That's the Catholic way. Why the priests wear all black and the white collar? Do you know why?
I do not.
They die to themselves, all black. And the white collar means everything that you now say, speak out of your mouth needs to be consistent with what Jesus would actually say. So,
Wow.
yeah, on the throat, the collar, like restraint.
Yes.
But we monks also do adopt the same. We have right speech, because I'm a hardcore Catholic. I'm still Catholic. I go to mass while remaining as a Buddhist monk. This is a way of life, and the other one's religion. God gonna tell me different? God wants to descend here and tell me different, that I can't practice both? I have a conversation with Jesus right now in my office right here. And if Jesus sat where you are sitting, and I would say, Jesus, how are you? Nice to meet you. Can I shake your hand or give you a hug? I'll give him a hug, come back and sit on this other side. And I said, Jesus, did you know whatever? First of all, like, what accusations do you have for me? Let's put me on trial right now. And he'll say whatever he says. And then I'll have a chance to reply, which is, Jesus, did you know that I have been doing your work while I was on this planet called Earth? And I've been doing your work since the age of 14 until I died 80. Now we're sitting here. I dare all the gods to sit in front of me and accuse me of doing. Go ahead, accuse. You made us this way. You made our tendencies this way. You made us to be inclined to behave this way. Thus we sinned. And yes, I've sinned. But then I also, on the other side, knew that I sinned and turned around and did God's work, as much as God's work could be on earth. So you want to condemn me to hell? Where's the slide? I'll slide right down there. Voluntarily walk over there and slide right down. But just know, there was this human named Chidao that did your work. And then I'll burn in hell. Who cares? Victoriously live this life. That's how I live. And that's how you're going to conquer fear of public speaking. This is who I am. This is what I've done. This is where I'm at. This is the choice that I have chosen. I am now a changed woman. And I hope to inspire millions and billions of you women to do the same. To not be toxic. To let go. To let go of everything. No matter if you've been a victim of violence, trauma, addiction, or abuse. It's okay. And explain that it's okay. You know, we were programmed to do these things to run away from the pain.
Yeah.
But now we're dealing with it here. And Buddhism is about dealing with the pain head on, directly, deep level, uprooting.
Yeah.
And once that is resolved, it is very liberating. No matter if they accuse you of anything, you know who you are. Matter of fact, you wouldn't even have to reply because you know who you are. You may cry, the impact may hurt, the knife may go deep, but it humbles you, the depthness of that impact.
Mm-hmm.
And you realize that continue the holy life and to be more holier than yesterday. That's what I gathered in my 9 years as a monk and 19 years of public service. It humbles you.
Mm-hmm.
So public speaking is something that whenever you're ready, you know, to share your story, the good, the bad, the ugly, like all of us, you know, you're more than welcome to use my platforms here to experiment. and let the praise and the blame comes, and feel the impact. It's that feeling of the impact that will make you stronger and develop a unique skin.
Mm-hmm.
Spiritual skin. On the subject of dermatology, everyone wants dolphin skin because it's tight and it's shiny and it's like, I want dolphin skin, forever young. You know, everyone fears old age of saggy skin. I develop people a bulletproof type of spiritual skin where doing good deeds is above all,
Mm-hmm.
supersedes and excels all. Period. Period. And that's how we overcome our fears and find our voice and to resolve ourselves and to help other people resolve themselves. I think that is like a life well lived. Just you know, we have to live a life to where when we die, there are no stadiums enough for people to come. There's they couldn't find a stadium that big to fit that many humans to come because you've helped so many in such a way. And that's what I teach. I teach that number one, resolve your problems quickly, effectively, once and for all. And if you allow it, you could be changed after today. And then I teach the how. How will you skillfully navigate as a spiritual leader, buying through policies and law and the rules as set forth and the amendments to the rules to now help other people assertively, confidently, faithfully, ethically, and morally, so that you become this blameless woman when you die. No different than Mother Teresa. No different than Pope John Paul II. No different than Mahatma Gandhi, Dr. MLK, Venerable Thich Nhat Hanh. And down the road, it'll be your biography, and it'll be my biography, another book on the shelf that you see here on the left. And that was us. We came, we visited, we gave you knowledge, and we left. Wherever we go, who cares?
Mm-hmm.
I don't care where I go. I don't care about rebirth. I don't care about, because I know I'm going to repeat myself wherever I go. If we get into this habit of giving, the next life or wherever the universe we go, we will be the continuity of the saint.
Yes, developing of that muscle.
Right.
Continuous growth.
But if you die as a drug dealer, you're going to repeat the same habit in the afterlife. You're going to be a villain. It's not going to be peaceful. So, and there's competitions in that arena too. So, there's no competitions in the sainthood because all saints have the same view, the relational of the same view. You're a saint, I'm a saint. We know what the Four Noble Truth is, period.
Mm-hmm.
We have a guideline. Whatever we don't know, we sit and meditate to know.
Yes.
Right. The villain aspect is, I'm a drug dealer. I got more weed than you. I got more guns, more money than you. Oh, okay, well, always clashes. Evil always clashes. No peace. Same thing with relationships and jealousy. No peace. No peace. Matter of fact, I told people that if I ever get married, she is in fact a saint. In fact, she's a more saint of than I am. She's a saint first before I am. So that's why the sainthood is awesome. And even if the sainthood is not even real, it's a good fantasy to live in.
Mm-hmm. It's a good illusion to hold on to.
Oh, since you're here and I haven't even reviewed these books, let me crawl these books out to reveal to you and to the rest of the world that I bought and haven't even pulled it out of my bag yet for teaching. The fact that you have an observative eyes, I can't make this up, even if I wanted to make this up. Just because you've seen how hectic my life is coming into this office. This was not rigged. Ew, that price is still on there. I don't want that price to be on there. But it doesn't come off easily. So I'm just going to show it. It's the saints in the Catholic world,
Mm-hmm.
right? We too have saints in Buddhism, but because there's more Christians in America, I was like, I was going to use this and merge the teachings together. I always merge both teachings together, by the way. So, like, again, like, is it real or is it not real? One has to ask, because they have a very unique way of measuring these guys and investigating these guys for decades before declaring someone a saint. So anyway, so I believe that the sainthood is real. I believe that you can achieve sainthood in both worlds.
Mm-hmm.
And it's easy to try to see if someone is a saint in Buddhism because there's a checklist. Maybe harder over there. You have to really study. That's why there's a book on these guys, just because it's a little bit difficult to assess and evaluate. But in Buddhism, to know if someone is a stream enterer, one of the key defining thing is faith. Faith in the teachings of the Buddha. You look for that. So there's that. Okay. Let me see if I miss anything else. All this makes sense so far for you?
Yes.
Any questions you have or clarifications that you have?
Yes. The sainthood and the Velen and the path that we choose. How do you look at this new age concept of contracts?
Contract?
Mm-hmm.
Legal contracts?
They say in the new age communities, there's a concept of you signing contracts to all of these experiences that you have in this life.
Uh-huh.
Do you have anything to elaborate on from the Buddhism lens? Is there a belief or a concept?
Can you expand on that a little bit?
Like, for example, how much suffering and how much peace I will be able to experience in a short contract or 10-year contract. I chose that with each individual.
Oh, okay.
From a mosquito that's going to bite me.
Right.
To a big chapter of my life that is either positive or negative.
Right. Okay.
Am I going to be born in a war area or in a peaceful small little village in the mountains? Right. It's the theme of life.
Got it.
And what's on that path, and then you get to either the sainthood or the Velen.
Got it. Okay. Let's get some water first. Yes. Let me cruise. So that way you can have some water. Easy. That's an easy one. You see, your job as a student is to challenge me with really difficult questions. These are easy. Very easy. Contracts. Nice. Good concept. Huh?
Well, I keep hearing that being said, and any concept I hear, I always try to see how am I understanding this? How am I relating to this? Okay,
that's why you have me to clarify for you. Number one, part of understanding the mind is that the mind jumps rapidly, quickly. So you have to be aware moment to moment about what's happening. And sorry, one of my phones is going to die soon. So your mind jumps all the time. The awareness of the mind jumping, you can get out of a contract. There's no such thing as a contract. That's make believe. That is.
Well, it's just a word to express.
Right. In Buddhism, there's no such thing. And I will explain why. That's unique. Um, we have choices. We fully engage into what it is. Sometimes, oh, you have to look at the dependent origination, which is the links of influence. This is because that is because this is.
Hmm.
If you think about it,
Mhm.
how did you get into this contract in the first place? You got into this contract in the first place because that's what you did. Then it got to where it is today. So it's like you bought a house and there are leaks that was not detected that you found out later. Well, okay, well let's ask the homeowner, the new homeowners, like, did you bring an inspector in? Yeah, I did. Oh, all right. Did you profile the inspector to see? Did you ask all of the checklist?
Mhm.
See, and this is because that is,
Mhm.
and that is now we have this.
Mhm.
So usually there's a root cause before the effect of it is now the contract.
Right.
How long is that contract? Depends on the next choice you're going to make. People stay in contracts because they're comfy. They don't want to challenge it. No different than actual legal contracts where they're like, no, like in this room right now, like the AC looks, I don't know, that looks dirty. But the filter is clean. Okay, it's just the outside of it. But like if I had an issue in this, like mole or something, or if I had a real or rats running around or something like that, and I wanted to challenge the contract, like you all need to come clean this. This is not, I'm not supposed to. Then if you're sick and tired of it, you can challenge it. But in other contracts in the world with relationships, work, home, school, balance, and parenting, why are you still there? Why are you still there with your parents? Because I'm comfy. Because they provide everything. Why are you still there with your boss? Because he lets me do things. I can break the rules. You willfully, knowingly, and intentionally stay there. That's karma. Karma is willfully, knowingly, and intentionally doing something.
Mhm.
Full knowledge of it. You cannot say you don't know.
Mhm.
Um, and so that would be that aspect of contract from my view of it. And people can snap out of it because they got to get out of their comfort zone to make a change in their life. That's why it's important to know yourself, develop policies, and develop principles and live by principles. Buddhism has 84,000 teachings. It is the most comprehensive and effective educational system the world has ever seen. The Noble Eightfold Path is the most effective educational system the world has ever seen. A person would never oblige, um, has obligation to any contracts in the world when they are real practicing Buddhist. We deal with things moment to moment. We deal with things mindfully every moment. We know exactly what is unfolding right now in the present moment. We're like 24/7 doctors.
Mhm.
Well, philosophy says if you're not your own doctor, you are a fool. So part of being your own doctor is mindful of what's unhappening so that you don't get taken by life and don't get taken by people, places, or things
Mhm.
that can buy you, that can grab you into those contracts. Like earlier, you said financial problems. Everyone's got financial problems. And, like people got bought into the credit card thing because only 1% of the population actually know how the financial system actually really works. So they think it's a good deal. Someone's going to let me borrow money. The APR is this, interest is that. If I pay this off in 6 months, yeah, they don't have it down to a science. So this is because that is
Mhm. Hmm.
simple.
But being born with those circumstances or being born with those circumstances, is that a choice or is that just circumstances?
So two things. You can be born into it. Like I said, problems that have found you, or you found the problem, or problems that was created by you, or problems that is going to find you.
Like, for example, the child that's being born in Gaza and the child that's being born now in Vietnam on top of the mountain. Two different scenarios, two different circumstances.
Yes. Yeah. We'll explain that right now. But we got Thunder, so let her know that once visibility is bad, she needs to bring the car back. By the way, for all those who's watching, I'm teaching a driving class while I'm having counseling session. Nếu như mà nó mưa đó mà không thấy được á, là bắt đầu mưa mà mưa nặng á, nhớ mang xe về nhé, tại vì mưa nó chật và khó thấy ở ngoài xe, dễ đụng cọ quẹt cây đèn rác, thùng rác nhé. Okay.
Yeah.
Isn't that cool? I got it down to a system. But my room's still messy. Okay. I laugh at myself. So we are where we are today. So this touches the realm of karma. And it kind of sucks because we are where we are today, and those kids are where they are as a direct result of their previous karma, what they've done in their last life or multiple previous lives that landed them as Black, white, Puerto Rican, Iran, Venezuelan, Polish, okay, in an environment where they could be killed, get blown up, raped, tortured. It's horrible to think of crimes against children and the living conditions that they were put in. Like, are you serious? The evidence of this, of karma and rebirth, is real. How real? University of Virginia on rebirth. Is that book here? No, that book's in my room, not here. There's 3 libraries here in this. That's 1, 2, 3. The 4th one's my dad. But so University of Virginia did these, like, I think 40 or 50 years of research into rebirth of kids who were killed, came back to life. So these kids, as young as they could speak, told the researchers, I was killed. This man killed me here. This is where I was buried. So if you dig it up. And they did. They're like, all right, little Joey, move aside. Let the forensic archaeologists do their job and dig up skulls. And they would see marks on their heads. And they look at the kid, and the kid's got a scar. And the kid's like, how old were you when you got killed? And the kid's like, 5, 6. Everything measures in accordance to what the kid is saying. Kid's incapable of lying. There's hundreds of cases like that. University of Virginia, Department of Perceptual Studies. So that's for you to verify. Don't believe me. Everything I told you today, don't believe
I've
me.
actually heard about those cases.
Okay, good.
And yeah, I'm fascinated to hear that they're actually putting it down on.
It's published and it's there. It's also my policy that you should never believe what I tell you. It's my policy that you're always to test out what I have said to you. That's why it's being recorded. So you can go back to it. That's also what the Buddha said too. Don't even believe him. You're supposed to test out his teachings to see that you have in fact achieved peace. On my own observations as a clinical social worker, 19 years here, I've watched karma unfold. Karma is unfolding right now with some of the cases that I'm working, where karma has given these families what I call a capital life felony sentence. That means they have health issues all over. Those dings were them. There's issues right now. They're not going to get a break. Few of them that I'm talking to are incapable of understanding the Four Noble Truth. Incapable. Incapable. The Buddha gave 2 guidelines. If they're incapable of understanding the Four Noble Truth, and if they had poor upbringing, poor roots, what he called it, poor roots. So you screen for those 2 things to see if a human does have the capacity for enlightenment. And that's what a teacher does. He screens the student to see how well their listening skill is, and how well their listening skills is he will trace their roots to see if they have poor roots. But it's my policy that even if they have poor roots, are they capable of understanding the Four Noble Truths? We have a method of enlightenment towards enlightenment. We don't just sit here and make up things. We have guidelines. Our tradition dates back 2,567 years ago. The Catholic world, 2,000 years. We, a little bit longer. Things have worked out just fine with us, scientifically speaking, and science, period. Science is now catching up to what we've said and has verified, right? So it's easy for me to be a teacher. So it's easy for me for the public speaking thing. It's like, how could you try to sell enlightenment had it not been true? How could you sell enlightenment if there was no method to test and replicate? So yeah, like I said, so some of these families I followed, I'm just like, at this point in your life, just give more and take less because you're incapable. I don't tell them that, but it's in my mind. I've ruled confidently as a judge that you're not capable, nor do I think you will be capable in the near foreseeable future. So as a Buddhist leader, I also take a position of somewhat of what you would call an adjudicator, a judge, which may sound judgmental, but it's not. It's about assessment and evaluation. No different than a doctor who is chief of medicine coming to see you at 80 years old and you have myocardial infarction, which is a heart attack, and he's the guru in the hospital, and he goes in, he looks at you, look at your vitals and everything about you, your medical history and family history, and he shakes his head when he walks out. You're done. You're done. So I am capable of making such adjudication in certain cases according to science and metric system that they're incapable and will not be capable in the near foreseeable future. And karma has shaped them that way. Karma has gotten that deep with them.
So it's almost like karma materialized.
Right. Right. Because in the presence of a teacher, and I'm trying to tell you this, and you're refuting and you're arguing in the face of science, and you've had all this time to do your research, and you didn't. You chose ignorance. You started ignorant, and then you continue to choose ignorance in the presence of the office of the wise. In the Catholic world, in the presence of a cardinal or a bishop. If you're sitting there arguing with a bishop and a cardinal, can I have a drink? How about a bottle? Tom, bring me a bottle. Get what I'm saying? So, and we have tried our best. And over the past 9 years, the Buddha gave us also instructions to meet the student where they're at, to find ingenious ways to relate to them and have patience, kind, persistence, and care. I've tried all that, trust me. So, felony karma, capital life felony karma, is a sentence that a person has to ride out. And sometimes it just shapes you that way and it's difficult to swim out of. You just have to trust this unshakable faith and confidence that not only do I have to give more and take less, I have to keep the precept, continue to meditate, and do good deeds. I have to apply 3 consecutive concurring medicine to improve my karma so that my water becomes more pure, my lake have less salt, and becomes fresher and fresher by the day that comes. Rather than saying, the wretched life chose me, I'm going to remain bitter, resentful, angry. And everything I do, I'm not going to treat people nice. I'm not going to hold the door. I'm going to be this bitter person. And I'm going to use American law to ensure my self-centered agenda. And everyone that I meet hereafter, I'm going to look like this. And I'm going to talk to them in such a way, rude, nasty, unkind, not beneficial. That they would just stack on karma after karma after karma. It may ripen in this lifetime or may not ripen in this lifetime. So it's...
I like that. Like ripen to...
Like a fruit.
Like ripen
it might
to the
happen.
point of you addressing it.
Right. It may... Yeah. You may be sentenced right away, or that sentence may be impending. If we were to use the concept of criminal law in the workings of karma. Karma is weird because you have to be very knowledgeable and study it extensively with observations, the power of observations in this lifetime to render such conclusions. Because the Buddha himself said that none of y'all, even if you have 5 PhDs, are gonna fully understand the mechanics of karma. So that's why people thank God for blessings. Like, I'm blessed to have a family. I'm blessed to have a husband, kids, healthy, happy, healthy kids, happy, healthy, good life, good wife, good life type blessing. Well, in a Buddhist sense, we're like, yes, you should thank God. But if you were to interchange the word God, karma, perhaps Lord Karma, someone who's keeping tracks and scores of you, what you've done in your last life. You gave more, took less, you did good deeds, you helped others. So in this life, you will enjoy the fruits of what you have sowed. You will reap what you have sowed. Likewise, the Bible, indicates what God gave you, he can also take. In Buddhism, what karma is giving you, karma can yank from you if you don't keep the precept. Like in Christianity, if you don't keep the commandments, go ahead. Let's see how fast what God have blessed you, God will take from you. Any intelligent being, any intelligent human would quickly awaken to that and realize, wow, maybe I should stop selling drugs because my luck's going to run out one day. Or any other unwholesome deeds, action, or sin. You know what I mean? So that's the explanation of that. Is it fair? No, it's not fair. Because I can't remember what I did in my last life. But now I'm getting the long end of the stick in this life. That case is calling me right now. But okay. But so karma still unfolds to me. Even though I would say 75% to 80% of my good karma unfolds naturally in a favorable way. There's also that 20% that comes from time to time, like a nail in the tire, and I'm just like, are you testing me? So that's why the clinical application of the practice of Buddhism helps you deal with those 20% skillfully, so you don't generate additional bad karma. Generating angry thoughts, unwholesome thoughts, ill will, generating those thoughts alone constitutes bad karma. So any intelligent human understands that, would stop with the anger right away and start taking steps towards resolving that anger, realizing that truth. Yeah. So that is the danger of being human. The dangers of our thoughts. And that's how you see. Máy vẫn còn để đúng không?
Dạ.
Ok, nãy giờ đụng trụng mấy lần?
2-3 lần.
Cũng 2-3 lần. Tại sao? Tại sao không biết?
Không biết tại vì em về nha.
Ok, nhớ tắt máy nha. Nút màu đỏ, ngay tay lái nút màu đỏ tắt nha. So we got a problem with that one. How many times you hit the cone? 3 times. This is now going on potentially 6 hours of parking, straight in parking. The instructions were to be mindful 1/10 every second, 1/10 of a second as you turn, slow as you turn into the orange cones. Put the car in the center. Any student who is slow, meticulous, careful, wouldn't report back 2 to 3 times hitting the cone. That's a lot in 2 hours. So
Does she have tools actually how to not hit them anymore?
She's in a rush. She's in a rush. She's doing things too quickly. It's a habit that I picked up.
There are techniques, actually.
Yes.
I can share with you.
No, I have them.
With the.
I have them. I got it down to a
mirror and
science.
the whole thing.
I got it down to a science. That's why it's fun being a teacher. You see how well they heed the advice and actually slow down. And then I asked her, "Do you know how you hit it, or why you hit it?" She's like, "No." So she's totally oblivious as to the technique, the angles, and the degrees, unable to articulate that to report back to me. So it's fun. Like I said, everything we do has to come down to a science.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right. Um, so the dangers of our thoughts, and that's why if you are analytical and psychological, Theravada order is for you. As you see the people's thoughts unfold, and you're like, hello, are we still asleep?
Mm-hmm.
Awakening is nirvana, and some people are still asleep in their own thoughts, not catching it step by step, second to second, um, and generating wholesome thoughts, positive thoughts for the benefit of other people. So it's a very skillful mean of being human, skillful, trained actions,
Mm.
trained ways of thinking.
That's what I would love to highlight. What chanting helped me with my monkey mind.
Ah.
Actually, it was very beneficial of chanting to be able to put something else in there on a repetitive. So when I'm out in the world and I'm noticing my mind going somewhere free range, I get to recognize it and gives a toy to it, give something to do. So chanting was very beneficial to actually start recognizing that there is this um, unconscious looping when we're out in the world doing things, waiting in line, traffic, this, that. There's the mind is constantly looping in all these different rat wheels of our subconscious. And I found that chanting actually helped me recognize the patterns of that destruction.
Yeah, yeah. In mindfulness of the breath, now when we go into meditations, uh, mindfulness of the breath is a one-pointed concentration technique to focus on the rising and falling of the abdomen. During the observation of the rising and falling of the abdomen, one's mind would jump. And as it jumps, you need to understand where it's jumping, either backwards or forward. Forward, anxiety; backwards, depression, recycling of the past. Why are we still recycling the past? We haven't made peace of the past. So we have to stop ourselves and go back to the blueprint.
Right.
Every time when we meditate on the breath and we're not able to keep that as the object, primary object of meditation and observations, then we have to start tracing, we're doing judo in the mind, very, blueprint type inner engineering. Mm-hmm. Lack of that analytics, one would only treat the symptoms, not the root cause. Sometimes chanting could be treating the symptoms, not the root cause.
Right, because some just do chanting, not integration, not anything else,
Right.
right?
Right.
And then when you do just that and you're not integrating or analyzing, then it can almost.
We have to know why. This
Yeah.
is just about understanding why. Why do I have these thoughts? And going back to this is because that is,
Mhm.
right? So most of my students that come in with me one-on-one sessions usually come out of a breakup. And when they sit and they meditate, they think about the past. And so we use narrative exposure therapy, journaling, to write about what happened in the past one last time, because they ran away from it. They didn't want to look at the details of it. Who contributed to the downfall? How did it happen? Who broke up with who? Who cheated on who? Whatever. Write it down. Once you write it down, you have reduced your thoughts and feelings down to writing. It gets out of the unconscious. So therefore, that unconscious has less of a power to reappear during the one-point concentration technique. Has less power over you because you're wrestling with it. You're doing something that the mind doesn't want to do, which is slow down. Why slow? So you can think more clear. The smarter you are, the faster you think. That's what we don't want. We don't want you to think fast. There are times where you need to think fast, like get out of the way for the car hits you. But when it comes to spirituality, slow down. When making business decisions, slow down. Legal decisions, slow down. When in love, slow down.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So there's
They're
that.
big decisions.
Right.
There's a lot building up to it, right?
Right.
Emotions, mind,
Right.
circumstances.
Right.
Yeah.
So when people drive in here with 19 years of clinical experience, and some people drive the way they do in the parking lot, I stop the car and I go, "Who's chasing you in this parking lot?"
Mm.
I don't see a police car in here. I don't see robbers in here. Who's chasing you? They can't see. They're blind to themselves and they're blind to their behavior. Right. And some of the gentlemen who drive like robbers, I stopped the car, I'm like, roll down the window. And I peek inside and I said, "Let me ask you something. When you go to the bathroom, do you wipe? When you poop, do you wipe? After you're done pooping, do you wipe, sir?" And they have this look on their face. And I'm like, yeah, I thought so. Because the way how you drive in this parking lot indicates that you don't wipe when you poop. It wakes them up. They've never heard that from an instructor ever before. Even the Buddha himself gave instructions when you are attending to nature's call. Just attend to nature's call.
Mm-hmm.
Don't be on the phone. Don't read no magazine, no nothing. So he gets down real. Make sure you remember when you are attending to yourself, attend to yourself only. Mindfulness.
Yes.
So when it backs to meditation is in that way. Mindfulness of the breath. Very important. Very important. Insight meditation was born in Burma from Ledi Sayadaw. And out of the 4 people, I believe it was Upakin. Yeah, I don't think it was Sayat that. One of those guys. Asserted that you can see the 3 marks of existence in mindfulness of the breath alone.
Say that again.
So only the other asserted that only insight meditation, the 4 foundations of mindfulness, will lead to the 3 marks of existence, which is impermanence, don't last forever, subject to change, not under your control. But other people have asserted that by through the mindfulness of the breath, it could lead you to the 3 profound marks of existence. But that's the first step in Theravada practice is samadhi, which is mindfulness of the breath, and the power in that.
So the branch that I was initiated into the Buddhism, where does it fall with your branch of Buddhism?
I don't know what they do over there, and if a monk with
but
them,
you explained that there's 3 main
Right,
ones,
right,
right?
right.
So the Buddhism, like in Nepal or Tibet or Vietnam, they slightly vary.
right.
Um,
And when I say that I don't know what they do over there, is I don't understand their practice, nor do I understand the clinical applications of that practice into human suffering. And I assert that it is wasting humans' time. And I assert that they're dancing around for fun. And it is not addressing in such a way because
so
I have,
the other 2 branches, is that what you're referring to?
I don't know what's happening over there with the way that they teach and
Oh, I
how they
see.
teach.
I see.
Right.
But what is the name of the other 2 branches?
I'm not going to say that on live.
Sorry? Oh,
I'll let you all go on the website I gave y'all and y'all can have at it. They were born from us. We are the elders of the elders. So when I went to Arizona and I had this gal, she was new to Buddhism. She was spiritually shopping, what I call shopping for Buddhas. And I told her, "Do you know who we are?" And I started to just go into the education mode of educating her about the Theravada orders. In the end, the statements are, "We are the elders of the elders. We are the elders of
so
all
they
elders."
vary that drastically,
Yes.
those other branches.
Yeah. I mean, we agree on the 4 Noble Truths. We agree on the Noble Eightfold Path. But how they teach the meditation in between and how it applies to human suffering, I don't understand. And if I don't understand, then I assert that other people don't understand. You have the first Buddhist monk in the world that inspired 1.3 million people. That means he has studied for a very long time. He sits on the panel of Buddhist scholars. His words are impeccable. His words is comprehensive. His words is effective. He has training in law. He has training in medicine. Telling you it doesn't make sense to him. So what makes other human beings gonna make sense? And if someone can make sense, have at it. Until this very day, I'm still reviewing some of the things that they do, and I'm like, huh?
Mm.
In 5 minutes, this needs to make sense to me. Because if it doesn't make sense to me in 5 minutes, where's Netflix?
So the Buddhism, like in Tibet and Nepal, they even have their other versions of it. Wow, I didn't realize it was so
Vast.
vast, and
This book,
so even though you fall
Vihara.
under the same umbrella, that umbrella is so complex and you could. Wow, I didn't realize it varies so much.
we are the only one that does not charge for our services. You also need to look at the corruption and the purity and integrity of the Dhamma, and who those representatives are, and who we are, and why we are more likely to be saints than they are. That needs to be examined very closely on the subject of morality and ethics, and that's something I'm dead serious about. I think
And
that's why they.
something that needs to be put on the table because it's
I think that's why they don't
hush-hush.
invite me to go teach there. And I am a standalone man, confident in what I believe in, confident in my principle, a principled man,
Mhm.
a principled holy man. But the Theravadan order has specifically prescription here for humans. Like, why do we meditate on death? Well, to emphasize time.
Mm.
The problem is we think we have time, urgency and expediency in time. Why do we meditate on the parts of the body? Because we are attached to our bodies. We are attached to our bodies more than anything. That's why the dermatology have $1 billion industry.
It's like the biggest attachment
The
of your
biggest.
soul.
Right. Dolphin skin.
Yeah.
Dolphin skin. I love it when I read it. I'm like,
Wow.
what in the actual hell is happening here on Earth? And I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
and dermatology is like sunscreen preserves everything. Okay, so now you go buy sunscreen because dermatology says that. So everything here that you see here, I'm able to answer. Any questions that you have in life, I'm able to answer effectively. And within a matter of seconds, you understand clearly the clinical approach to why the Theravadan order will prevail, has prevailed, will prevail in solving human problems quickly without you having to come back here. I like to solve human problems quickly because I don't have time to sit hours on end to counsel. When you go to my YouTube and you put in one-on-one counseling, typically it's supposed to do justice. It's supposed to solve like 40% of the problem on the first meeting, if not 60%.
Mm.
I'm not like a, come back for 12 sessions therapist.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So that's why I chose Theravadan. Straight to the point.
Theravada.
Right. Because when I was growing up as a young man, I'm just trying to figure myself out.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just trying to like, what? Why? And how? And I needed quick answers.
Mm.
So, it's no different than you have an active infection. You need an antibiotic that's going to kill this thing in 1 week, and no more than 1 week. 1 week is a long time of suffering.
Mm-hmm.
Nonetheless, human conditions.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Mm.
So I was fortunate enough to, and Vietnamese typically Mahayanan. Vietnamese monks usually Mahayanan. See that Buddha standing there?
Mhm.
Mahayana.
Mm.
And so it's rare to so people are like, oh my God, you're Vietnamese and you're Theravadan? What a rare gem. And I'm like, oh, I'm not that special. I just got the point. So
Mm.
hopefully you all get the point with me.
Where's the largest density of Theravada that's being practiced currently?
Laos, Thailand, Myanmar colors,
Here's Thailand.
Cambodia, India, Bangladesh.
No, Nepal.
No, that's Mahayana.
That's
Because Nepal is Vajrayana, who was born under the umbrella of Mahayana. So technically, there's only 2 main schools, but they have sub branches underneath them. We also have sub branches under Theravadans. Some will say you guys suck. Some will say you guys are the best. Or the Thai forest tradition is the Thai forest tradition. They wear that
Mhm.
color, brown,
Mm-hmm.
right? So it's very fun when you get into the nitty gritty details of different schools and they argue about it, who sucks and who doesn't suck, and I'm a young leader, so I have to know these things. And they're like, well, our uniforms are better than yours. And that's why I change all colors. I wear all colors. So who's going to say who's better? No one's better. So you know what I mean. So
Yes.
inclusivity, it's fun
Mhm.
being in this. Once you wear robes, trust me, it's fun. You just make it fun.
I wore a turban for 3 years, so that was fun.
Yeah, you just have to make it. Life's already dry, and the clinical aspect of suffering is already dry and painful. You just have to make it fun, and that's why along the way, along the path, I make it fun.
Make it light and fun.
Right.
Yeah.
You just have to laugh about suffering, laugh about the desires in suffering, and that's why I remain young for so long. It's just. And I was born pessimistic. I was born a very strict man, and it wasn't. I was born from my dad, who was a strict intelligence officer, lieutenant. His biography is over there in that other side of the Buddha. And I was just, I don't know, I was very pessimistic. I like things so serious all the time. And it wasn't for my dad, who fixed himself and started to become more comical, that now I'm adopting that comicalness, which is a very hard thing to do, And now making all of my young students laugh.
Mm.
Imagine that. A Theravadan Vietnamese monk who came from a military background now makes 15-year-olds, 13-year-old novices laugh. A very hard thing to do. No one ever stopped to think about matching their level, bringing teachings in, helping them to be next leaders of tomorrow, laugh and have fun. Because once you can get past the first noble truth, you're doing great.
Mm.
Usually after they hear life is birth, old age, disease, decay, and death, they leave. They hit that door pretty fast. Who wants to study that? Truly, who wants to study that?
It's true.
Yeah.
True.
So crazy. It's crazy. I studied from a Ajahn Chah back in the day, and never once did I think that I was going to be a Ajahn one day. And now I find myself a venerable father to these novices. Absolutely nuts. I sit there and I'm just like, how did you get there? How did you get here? What happened? So, do you have any more questions, clarifications?
I think. Thank you so much for making the time.
Just want to review this. Oh, you just so happens to barge in on the right notes that I took. When people ask for ordination, back in the day of Lord Buddha, this is a fairly new book, you can tell. I only finished that much of it, and there's that much left. This is a new book, new notes. They told the Buddha that they made this statement to the Buddha. Beginning from today, Lord, let the Blessed One, which is the Buddha, receive us as his followers who have gone to him for refuge, as long as breath lasts. Breath lasts. Then the Lord Buddha said, the Dhamma is well proclaimed. Lead the holy life for the complete ending of suffering. Complete.
Full spectrum.
So one day you're able to make that statement. I don't think I can make that statement yet. How comforting that is, I find. To repeat these two. I'm going to tattoo this on my skin. I should. To show people unshakable faith and confidence in the Dhamma. As long as breath lasts.
The prana will carry us through.
The Tibetan tradition was the first one that I heard from in regards to meditation and the ability to predict one's death by through meditation. Even though our senior teachers say not to take the Book of the Dead seriously, I would credit the Tibetan tradition for that powerful statement, and now I understand it. That when you are so mindful of the breath, you can predict your own death. You will know when you're going to go. I find this very deep as long as breath lasts. So tonight when you breathe, you go home, at the moment before you sleep, Pay attention to those last few breaths. When you wake up, pay attention to those last few breaths. Slow morning. Start morning slow. Pay attention. As the day passes, it just grows more profound and deeper. I now spend hours thinking of a sentence, of how deep it is to me than before. So proceeding on forward, if you will need to think about what we have spoken today, whether it is appropriate for you, and whether or not you want to continue selecting me as your teacher, and whether the Theravadan order is appropriate for you given all of the practices, the preliminary identification of the practices that we do, and more to come as you visit the buddhanet.net or access to Insight or any other Theravadan websites, so that you make sense of what's happening. And my hope when people leave the room is that they come closer to that resolve, whatever it is that they have been yearning for, desiring for. Enlightenment is the best desire, temporarily. You can have desire, just make sure they're good ones. They're justifiable ones that you can live with, one that you won't be regretting. And when you make such forthcoming decisions, then I'll be prescribing you more things to read and practices, and I'm going to be looking for a few things. Your ability to retain information, your ability to represent the information. I'll be looking for key elements in the Four Noble Truth. I'm looking for certain keywords in there. And it's okay for you to make mistakes. As long as you try your hardest, then I'm okay with that. That's all I ask is effort, right effort in the Noble Eightfold Path. So we will approach it slow, methodical, and scientific way of doing it. And once I feel that you're ready, then we move into meditation, more extensive, more increase in duration and intensity in that, so that you get the most out of it, so that you can benefit from it and other people can benefit from your own practice. As you change as a woman, other people will see that how you've changed. You'll change and not even know it, perhaps not even know it. And other people will see the glow that you bring into the room. And they're going to be like, I'm sorry. Can I ask you something about you? I'm just wondering, what is it about you that is so enlightening as you walk in? They'll tell you statements like that. They'll tell you stuff like that. And that's when you realize that, I have changed in some way, shape, or form. I have improved in some ways that it was detectable by other humans. My energy, my aura, you name it. I have manifested in such a way naturally. Natural glowing, precious rock, precious stone. And then, it's amazing and awesome to resolve one's own and to lead other people into the introduction of the practice. And hopefully, it grows from there. It's not easy. This practice is not easy. It takes effort. It takes strength. It takes persistence to master what all of us Ajahns have mastered. Through the doubts, through the trials and the errors, you must keep at it. If not, you would be continuing shopping for Buddhas or any other religions, whatever that's going on out there. So I hope that this was comprehensive and effective for you. I think that with time that has given today, that I think we got to most of it. I would say 60% of what you had on your mind and in your heart. And as you think of more, you can text me. I think we do a good job at texting too.
Yes.
I think it spoke volume that you spoke. You came early today. It spoke volume of your excitement today. I just don't know people when they come in. I just don't know, what they've been searching for when they come in. So it's a mutual understanding of excitement, because I'm like, I learn more from you than anything. When you speak, I'm now the student.
Yes.
Yeah.
The exchange program.
Right.
Of the student, the
Right.
teacher.
because there are things that I don't know about humans, and everyone has unique set of experiences.
Yes.
And it's my job to make sense of that experience and how Buddhism can come in into their life in the midst of their life and help them make sense of themselves and what's happening and how they can achieve peace as a direct result of the words of the Buddha. So thank you for not only making a donation, but going to Cassis, where my parents eat out. No one really knows how much money my dad makes. But every time I ask him, he's like, I don't have any new clients. Then how did you survive for almost 30 years? And you're taking mom out to Cassis. But they are primary supporters of my spiritual path. Therefore, I don't have to depend on anyone or any monastery, nor am I associated with anyone or any monastery. I'm able to run my own programs in such a way. It's a very unique program. It's unlike any other. And it aims...
And it keeps your roots clean, you know?
Oh, yeah.
Meaning you're not desperate.
Right.
Right? Because I think a lot of these other circumstances puts people in a very desperate space that
Right.
they're not even aware. And then
Right.
next thing they know, they're too deep in it to back out or change.
Right.
So...
Truth
um,
Truth be told, it's not easy. Yeah, everything I do has to be in alignment, as if God, Buddha, the whole panel of religious order standing in front of me.
Yeah.
You
And
know,
I think that's, you know, the generation of our parents. I'm noticing my parents, of them having an opportunity to support me. It's that time now, right? Because we're trying to do things differently.
Right. Right.
And it's not comfortable, but there's no other way. Like, I don't see any other way.
right.
I don't,
Yeah.
you know, I don't see just
Yeah.
going in and dropping in and copying that. That's not gonna work.
Yeah.
Like, you know, for us to sit in their seat and copy that life is just, there's no way that's gonna happen.
Oh, it's wow. Yeah. You know what?
You know, even if you tried, like in my mind, sometimes like maybe I should just get a corporate job, you know, and like, just like do that grind, you know, and like,
yeah.
you know,
Hustle.
hustle. But there's no way that is even happening.
You know, I counsel these 50-year-old ladies in Arizona. And I said, girl, we done crawled them rocks and went on the mountains. Beautiful pictures, you know. And I'm like, girl, you guys are 50. I am 37. I'm running out of breath, and I'm a male. And you guys are still doing this, the fights, the old habits.
Mhm.
At 50, y'all got energy. I'm like, I bow to y'all because y'all got energy. I wake up with back pain. Nonetheless, y'all at 50. So yeah, you're right. You know, just sometimes I have the deepest compassion for them, and it's my job to like, I need you to come towards enlightenment. By 60 years old, I got this much time with you left. You know, and just, you know, I cry a lot, often, reflecting on the wheel that they have been on.
Yeah.
And I sometimes, in the Tibetan world, they also use imagery to put themselves in the suffering of other people. Now, they do a lot of things right over there, you know. Of course, I'm going to have my disagreements and agreements, but for things that they do right, they have this imagery that they put themselves into there. And I use some of their practices, you know, to put myself in other people's shoes who have poor roots, who started off ignorant. And I just hope that using my wits and wisdom and skills that I can able to help them choose non-ignorance so that they can achieve peace in their life. Yeah. But yeah, I be ecstatic in the forthcoming days for you to ask more questions and
Is it
tell me.
appropriate to text you?
Yeah.
On any questions? Okay.
There's not a lot of text messages anymore.
Okay.
With the new policies and the fact that I let my personalities be uniform in public.
Yes.
Now that they know that a teacher has, you know, it's, I don't know. If I were to sit back and observe me, which is hard because I'm blind to myself, that's why I do it publicly so that people can evaluate me. I mean, I'm open to suggestions and evaluations. I mean, I know me, but from the perceptual side of students watching me, I just wonder what they think, because TikTok has a lot of really funny stuff on there. I'm a very funny guy in public. Like the other day, I mean, you just go to TikTok and you find out. And then YouTube is like, for the shorts, you get samples of the TikTok. But when it comes to the live and this, you're like, oh, he's definitely a Gemini. So he's he's got this funny side of him, loving, kind. But then when he's serious, it's like, whoa, very intense seriousness. You just gotta know what's happening right now. No different than when I'm in this office. Like we joke and laugh a lot in this office. Hopefully, this office energy strike you as a happy office. Energy, office, integrity, and purity.
Integrity.
Right, integrity, right? Because I mean, if I'm hiding, 24 karat gold in these drawers in here, which you're welcome to examine, have at it. But when it comes to like the challenging of the minds, when people's minds, we don't have problems with people. We have problems with their mind. It always has been that way.
Mhm.
And when that mind of that human, we call them human, male, female, don't matter, gay, straight, lesbian, don't matter. You're a human. And they challenge my dad, and you see the battle of the minds. And my dad's like, "You're a legislator, right?" Well, there's the law book. Is there a law in there that I don't know about? And same thing when I'm doing my job as assistant director, it's like, so yes, I just don't have a lot of time to dance with students like I have been. It's such a privilege to be a teacher, a young teacher, to all of you. But I'm being asked now at the current time, perhaps to be a vice abbot in Arizona. So I have to think about that in the midst of writing my own book. I want to write the book, and you got partial of that book today. Everything that I'm telling you is going to be in the book. So it's like you got partial, you got 20% of the book today. Because so it's always that challenge of continuing to talk to people, just write it and people just read it on their own time, let them make sense of it. They feel less judged, less evaluated, less assessment. Some people just don't want to be seen right now. They're just like, Venerable, I just want to read your book, and just when I'm ready, I'll talk to you. When I'm ready, I can like text you, like I'm dealing with something right now. I'm dumping somebody's. I'm being dumped right now. Okay, when I get to like page 200 and something, I'll text you. So I understand that aspect too, and I do discipline myself when I go home. When I'm too hard on someone or something like that, I repent and I go home. I'm like, wow, Jidao, you suck today. How about we try this again tomorrow? It's a very humble thing. It's difficult being a teacher, and even more difficult in the Theravadan order. There's to be a fine balance of understanding, compassion, and assertiveness.
Do they rebel? Is that the word? Against each other when you?
We have disagreements.
Yeah.
We have fiery discussions and debate, but at the same time, we have to be very careful in how we're debating it and speaking. Because if the other person is an arahant, I mean, you can be an arahant. Notice everything that I've spoken today is within guidelines and cannot be outside of guidelines. Because even if you are an enlightened being, testing me if I'm an enlightened being, and if I make an offense towards to you, I will take no less than 500 rebirth. That means I'm coming back in this lifetime or even lower realm, no less than 500 times. Imagine being a worm 500 times. And the complete cycle of a life of a worm and being stepped on 500 times, stepped on by a human, or a bird being hunted, or a fish being hunted by a predator, a shark, 500 times in its life cycle. Yeah, that's the profound truth of rebirth. You can read that on accesstoinsight.org by Tanisaro and any other on that. But yeah, that's what's awesome. And typically we just let the other person, we don't really challenge. That's their beliefs. Who cares? It's like we have our finding our own faults and fixing them. And before you ask that question, you see that as a teacher, I'm always adjusting how I teach and who I teach to and disciplining myself. I police myself. I don't answer to anyone. Matter of fact, I run my whole family system and unit. I'm my dad's boss, even though he's a triple discipline professor. So I have to police myself. I have to know when I'm wrong and admit that I'm wrong. It needs to be a self-correcting agency.
Yeah, self-auditing.
Right. Because, I mean, if you think about the social media influence, I'm quite powerful. And if I wanted to attack using my words, it can turn ugly quick, very quickly. So the Buddha says, be gentle over others when you have power. For people in position of power, be gentle over other people. So, I mean, that's the dangers of the mind, is that the more intelligent any human is, they can choose two paths, right?
Mm-hmm.
To be that terrorist or to be a saint.
Mm-hmm.
So, um, then it's awesome. Choose the sainthood, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And I hope others do the same. And I hope you do the same. I hope you find it in your heart down the road to be a bhikkhuni. I'd be a complete, wonderful joy for the entire world to see, because they're so rare of you guys. I think there's only like, by now, I would say 1,000
Hmm.
out of 8 billion, perhaps only 1,000. I don't think up to 2,000. Maybe I don't know the rate, so I wouldn't know.
Theravada or in general in
Theravada,
in Theravada?
bhikkhuni. It's a very powerful title. 311 rules. I mean, you're a saint. Don't touch it. Don't talk to it. Don't wink at it. Don't smile at it. It's a saint. I made that joke when I was in Orlando, when there was a jug that says, "That sexy bald guy," or something like that. And I held it. I was like, don't talk to it. Don't just. I'm a hoot when I'm out there. But you would be, spiritually speaking, you know,
Yes.
you've given up everything, and now you're a service of just a role model for others, and to be in the community of the Bhikkhuni order. And you can look up the Bhikkhuni order. You can look up Theravada, and you can look at surround
Mhm.
California. We got a couple. Empty Cloud Monastery. It's got Aya Soma. She's pretty awesome. She's chill. She's Italian.
Mm.
She's chill. Very powerful woman with powerful message. So yeah, I think in this life cycle, you know, just to meet someone like you know the rarity, the causes and conditions for you to be here. I mean, you're here now in St. Pete. Just think about the plane ticket and the driving or whatever, how you got here.
Mm-hmm.
For the two minds to
Mm-hmm.
collaborate, to relate to, and the understanding.
Yeah.
That's what differentiates us from animals, is communication.
Mm-hmm.
You know. And you know, I just hope down the road that if it's right for you, that you would become a bhikkhuni. And I mean, that's just because you're from where you're from, and we know in those regions there's wars, there's pain and suffering. To be a representative, to be born out of poverty, to be born out of war.
Mhm.
A saint emerged from war. Her background was she emerged from war and poverty. I had friends that were from Ukraine. I had friends that were Russians. You know, and when I'm not a historian, my dad is. That would probably make him a fourth, quadruple discipline professor, because all the history books are over there. And I'm like, hey, Dad, what do you think of Ukraine? What do you think of it? What do you think of people in the European area and region? And he says, a lot of war, a lot of pain, a lot of suffering. That's why they're very humble. They don't cause problems,
Mm-hmm.
you know? And when he said that, like, my heart sank, just to like understand the breadth and the depth of it.
Yeah.
And that you're going to be born from that to emerge as a saint. No different than the Catholic saints, the women and the men, like Father Aloysius Schwartz, born from poverty, dirt. You cry when you read some of these stories in there. And for him to step into countries of poverty, which where I was 2 months ago, Laos, Thailand. And he says that I took this whiff and smelled the stench of poverty, and I realized this is my new home. And I was like, Father, oh, wow. And dedicated his entire life to poverty. Father Aloysius Schwartz ended up raising millions of dollars, hospitals, thousands of kids, Philippines, Korea, and Mexico. When he died, on YouTube, there are videos of nuns holding his casket, and they cry. You saw the way they cry, and you cry with them. Watching this, you cry. I cried with them. I cried and studied Aloysius Schwartz for like 2 weeks, and I was just like, I want to be just like him. He was just an inspiration to me. You know, he had ALS. In his wheelchair, he's conducting mass. with like this microphone. He couldn't even raise his hand. And the Lord be with you, and also with your spirit. Lift up to the Lord. He's conducting mass while battling ALS. They say he's going to die. He says, "Take me to Mexico. I want to open another center, and then I'll die." Then he dies. You do that. You can do that. That's you. You came from those regions. One of these days, make the ultimate sacrifice. It's not about us anymore. It's about other people, our fellow humans. The ultimate love for other humans. I have that self-centeredness too. Me, my, I. Rather than I'm like, if I go back to me, mine, I, what am I going to do? Go out and buy a new Toyota? You see the car I drive? You should go out and look at the car I drive. It's falling apart. In poverty.
It gets you from A to B.
Yeah, but it's awesome living in the sainthood and poverty and serving suffering. You just got to get past it. I think right now you're in the midst of knowing yourself. But once you get to that enlightenment of service, self-actualization, master hierarchy of needs, self-actualization, then it's going to be the joy in the spiritual life, which rarely people understand. At first, it looks difficult and hard until you pass through the threshold of the probationary period of any priest, monks, or nun.
Yeah, I mean, I look back at my strict sadhana years, and that was
Yeah. And I hope that what happened to you, I mean, you flew. This woman, I can't imagine you holding the microphone publicly. Like, anyone seen a Buddhist bhikkhuni fly before? Because I, in fact, had done that. And the whole crowd would be like, you get their attention. If they're asleep, they'll be awake. And they'll be remaining awake throughout the entire TED Talk that you're going to give. But I hope that you make sense that what happened to you is that perhaps the universe, God, Allah, Buddha, Vishnu, Jesus, wanted something higher and better for you, rather than the ordinary life that we all lived, the ordinary life that you have. Maybe a higher calling to make sense of that. So, well, I don't want to keep you more of this time. Wow, 2 hours. 2 hours. No, 2.5 hours because you came early. Yeah. I should cut you loose so that you can eat and carry on about your days. But if you reach out in the forthcoming days, the potential and likely chance of you tagging along, I would incorporate you with training novice Devan, who is a very mature 15-year-old. The kid could be adjudicated as 19, perhaps. And I'm cultivating him exactly how things are done. And we're going to be visiting cemeteries. We're going to be going places at the beach, meditating. We're going to utilize the Florida life and applying the practices to the Florida life so that we learn about ourselves, the practices. And once you know how to practice, you go back home and you continue to practice. And then there'll be a light bulb down the road. And that's when you call me. You're like, as a direct result of your instructions, I think the light bulb and I just want to know if this is an actual light bulb. I want to tell you about my experience. So have faith in the teacher and the process, and the results will come. And that's what we do as teachers. We will wait for the results to come and clarify for you if this is the results that we've been waiting for, and then proceed on to the next level. So with that being said, thank you for coming. And can I see this bag? I just want to share everyone of this bag. God, it's such, look at this. From Cassis, out of all places. Special significance when it's from Cassis. Oh, did anyone see this? This is from Cassis. Take me to Cassis. I'm just kidding. Don't take me. That's a violation of our rules to be having preference as a monk. But after she leaves the room, that right there will be demolished in this chair as I'm hungry.
Thank you so much.
Okay, I give you a blessing verse. Okay, if you want to put your hands together for the offering. Today, we reflect on the bravery of this woman and the courage this woman has to travel so far down to my hometown city, to be here to confront in the presence of another. We call that spiritual intimacy, to confront in the presence of a teacher, a Theravadan teacher out of all teachers, to sit here and to share her story with us, to all of us, and in public, to start her journey. Whether or not I'm appropriate for her is for her decision to make. Today, she listened to karma, part of the teachings, and for the offerings that she has given here today in preserving life and health of a monastic and a representative of the monastic order, so that I may serve other people, so that a monk can serve other people, constitutes good merit and the sharing of the merits. Today, I wish to dedicate a lot of my merits, my karmic currencies to her, for all the karmic accumulations that I have in my service, that may she reap what I have sowed. May her suffering be alleviated. May she be healed and be a significant source of healing for other people. May she make sense of what happened today. May she be the light and beacon that we hope for. And for that, we give her the following blessing verse. Yatha varivaha pura pari purenti sakarang. Ewo wa ito dinang petanang upakapati ichitang patitang tumhang kipame wasame chatu. Sape purentu sangkapa jando panyaraso yatha manicho teraso yatha. Sabitiyo viwanchandu sa parua goa wina satuma te bawan tuan tarayo suki. Deha yuko bawa abiwa dana sile sanichang buata bacani no. Jataro thamma wadandiya yuano sokang palang bawatasa pamanggalang rakantasa badewatasa pabuta nufa wena sadaso ti bawantute bawatasa pamanggalang rakantasa badewatasa patamma nufa wena sadaso ti bawantute bawatasa pamanggalang rakantasa badewatasa pasangha nufa wena sadaso ti bawantute. May you be well. May you always be happy, be healthy. May you be free from mental suffering. May you be free from physical suffering. May you realize the light of your own true nature. May you be healed and be a significant source of healing for other people. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Very good. So I look forward to hearing from you in the forthcoming days. I'm going to rearrange this office and realize that someone came and secretly assisted me.
I'm here if you need any help.
And you look great. No one's ever shown up dressing all white, looking like a saint.
Can I give you a hug?
You can.
Thank you so much.
Theravadan order, we're not allowed to touch women, but sometimes you never know when they need that healing touch. So
Yes. Thank you so much.
yes, take care.
To be
Drive safe,
continued.
and yeah, keep me updated on what's happening. Okay.
Yes. Thank you. Thank
Yes,
you,
I
thank
can't wait
you.
to eat this.
Bye-bye.
Take care. Thank you all for joining. 2.5 hours. I loved it. Love every minute of it. So I will. Oh, this laptop's going to die soon. It dragged on for 2.5 hours. Thank you all for being patient, listeners. And I apologize I was not able to get to your comments, as I have to remain mindful during these sessions. Hopefully you all reflect on this. If you're now just joining, you can go back to it on my YouTube. The comprehensive one is on YouTube. Partial of it's on Facebook. Thank you all, and until the very next time, take care.